Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting well-informed, and today we're plunging into a Michael Connelly novel.
That's right.
One that brings together, well, kind of an unusual trio of his big characters, Harry Bosch, Renee Ballard, and Mickey Haller.
Yeah, the big three almost.
We're talking about Nightshade. It's a story that weaves together this decades-old murder case with, the really thorny complexities of justice itself.
Mm-hmm.
For this deep dive, we've really dug into a detailed summary of the novel to pull out the key stuff.
And our mission today really is to unpack how Connelly uses this really chilling cold case. It's not just a murder mystery, right?
No, not at all.
It's more like a lens,
Yeah.
a way to expose these sort of enduring blind spots in society, institutional issues, things that let evil just fester, sometimes for decades.
Decades, yeah.
We'll get into how different ways of investigating can actually work together, complement each other, and what it really means, to chase justice when truth and deception are just tangled up everywhere you look.
It sounds like it goes way beyond a simple whodunit.
Oh, absolutely. It's a journey that really asks, can you ever get true justice when the very systems meant to give it are, well, maybe compromise themselves?
Okay. So settle in, everyone. The scene is set, as usual with Connelly, in those morally complex streets of L.A., secrets run deep, and for some people, justice is anything but straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
So where does Connelly kick this off? It starts with a cold case, right? One that's basically haunted the LAPD for decades.
Exactly. The murder of a young boy, Kevin Harris, way back in the 1980s.
And it was just closed, without resolution.
Very much. Heartbreakingly closed, buried under bureaucracy, lost leads, the drill.
Wow.
And that's where our main players come in. They kind of embody different sides of this relentless chase for justice. You've got Harry Bosch. Okay, he's officially retired from the LAPD, but that fire, that passion, it never left him.
Right, you can't just switch that off.
No way. And he gets called back when Renee Ballard reaches out. She's overseeing this newly formed, open, unsolved unit. Basically a squad, focusing only on these cold cases, often decades old.
So she brings this specific case, Kevin's murder, to Bosch.
She does, and it grabs Bosch immediately. It haunts him. It's that feeling that, well, it seems like way too little effort was made back then to find the killer.
Like an initial systemic failure?
Precisely. And that just doesn't sit right with Bosch, It nags at him.
And that unease, that's kind of what makes their working dynamic so interesting, isn't it?
Totally.
You have Bosch with his, let's call them old school techniques. It's gut feelings, hunches, pounding the pavement, talking to people.
Right. Shoe leather detective work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that contrasts so sharply with Ballard. She's methodical, data-driven. She's using modern forensics, digging through old files, sometimes digitized from brittle paper cross-referencing data.
Using DNA tech cold case databases. Stuff that just wasn't around when Kevin was killed.
So it's this mix, sometimes tense maybe, but ultimately they complement each other.
Absolutely. They're pulling the investigation forward from both ends, sort of.
What's really key here, though, is understanding why they do it. Their shared motivation.
Yes. Because both Bosch and Ballard, in their own ways, they've been burned by the system they serve.
Right. Yeah, that comes through loud and clear in their stories.
And it's not just a complaint. It's what fuels their commitment. They've seen the cracks. They know where the bodies are buried, figuratively speaking.
Or maybe literally, in this case.
Maybe literally. It gives them this almost defiant drive to find justice where the system failed before. And it all comes back to that code Bosch lives by. Everybody counts or nobody counts.
That's his mantra.
That's a personal creed. It pushes them to keep digging even when everything's telling them to stop.
And as they dig deeper into Kevin's case, it starts to look, well, darker, more disturbing than just a single murder.
Mm-hmm. They start finding these unsettling links to other cases from back then, cases involving abuse, kids gone missing.
Oh, wow.
And the really chilling possibility of maybe a wider trafficking ring that was operating totally under the radar for years.
So Kevin's death wasn't isolated.
It starts to look like it wasn't. Connelly suggests it might have been part of something. Organized, calculated, hidden.
That's a genuinely chilling thought, isn't it? How deep that kind of darkness can be embedded.
It really is. And it brings up big questions about those systemic failures we talked about. Because the more questions they ask,
the more resistance they hit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not just whispers in the hallway. Real resistance from inside the department, sure, but also from other powerful institutions. Places that failed these victims way back when.
And people still holding on to secrets?
Definitely. Files go missing. Or maybe they were destroyed. Key witnesses, untraceable or suddenly unwilling to talk.
Conveniently.
Very conveniently. And Bosch starts to get this feeling maybe the initial failure to solve the case wasn't just incompetence. Maybe it was intentional, designed to keep a lid on something much bigger.
That's classic Connelly, isn't it? The system protecting itself.
It's a theme he returns to again and again because it's real.
Okay, so while Bosch is digging into Kevin's past, there's this other storyline that starts to weave in, right? Involving his half-brother, Mickey Haller.
The Lincoln lawyer himself.
Right. And Haller's got his own case going. He's defending a guy accused of murdering a pretty high-profile city official.
But Haller's convinced his client is innocent, that he's being set up.
Which puts Bosch in a tricky spot.
Oh, absolutely. Because Bosch is a cop, through and through. His job is putting bad guys away, not helping defense attorneys get them off.
But Haller appeals to Bosch's core drive, doesn't he?
He does. He appeals to Bosch's need for the truth, regardless of which side it helps. He convinces Bosch, maybe reluctantly, to just look at the prosecution's case.
And Bosch finds
Irregularities, things that don't add up, evidence that seems ignored, signs of, let's say, manipulation behind the scenes. And this is where Connelly connects the dots brilliantly. Bosch starts seeing these disturbing parallels, echoes between Haller's current case and Kevin's cold case from decades ago.
What kind of parallels?
A pattern. A pattern of power being used to silence the vulnerable, of institutions protecting their own reputations rather than actually serving justice. It's like a war on multiple fronts, even for guys like Bosch and Haller, who are technically on opposite sides of the courtroom.
Wow. Okay, so while Bosch is dealing with that ethical minefield, Ballard's still fighting her own battles inside the LAPD.
Right. Her cold case unit. It's new, and it's definitely not universally loved.
Seen as a waste of resources, maybe? Or a threat?
Both. Raking over old coals can make people look bad, reopen old wounds, expose past mistakes. And her partnership with Bosch, this retired detective who doesn't always play by the rules, that brings scrutiny.
So she's putting her own career on the line.
Pretty much. By siding with Bosch, by pushing these uncomfortable cases, she's risking her job.
Yeah.
But her tenacity, her compassion, it really solidifies who she is. She starts earning this reluctant respect, even from the doubters.
And all her methodical work, the forensics, the databases, does it pay off?
It does. Big time. It's Ballard's meticulous approach that finally cracks the cold case wide open.
How so?
Her relentless work with the forensics team gets a hit. A DNA signature, preserved for decades on some piece of evidence, finally matches someone in the modern databases.
Incredible.
It points to a man, he had a criminal record, was just a minor back when Kevin was killed, and crucially, he's now living under a different name.
Hiding in plain sight.
Exactly. It's a huge testament to how technology can resurrect these buried truths, you know?
Definitely. So they have a suspect. What happens next? Must be intense.
Oh, it is. What follows is this intense confrontation. Bosch and Ballard using that combination of patient work, relentless pressure. They finally uncover the whole disturbing truth.
And it's worse than they thought.
Much worse. Kevin's death wasn't random. It wasn't even just this one guy acting alone. Connelly reveals this really chilling layer. The killer was just a piece of it, a cog in a much larger machine. A deliberate operation involving a trusted institution, people in positions of authority, and a conspiracy of silence that protected them for years.
So the suspect wasn't acting alone. He was part of something institutional.
That's the horrifying discovery. He was part of a network.
So the resolution, do they get him?
Yes, it involves a dangerous takedown, but they get the killer. And they manage to connect him to this wider network of crimes. Justice is finally served for Kevin Harris.
Finally.
But Connelly makes it clear. The emotional cost for Bosch and Ballard is high. Really high. It reminds you that even when you get the win, the scars, they don't just disappear.
Yeah, you see that reflected in both of them afterwards, right, for Bosch?
It's bittersweet, definitely. His health. His respiratory condition is getting worse, though he tries to hide it from Ballard. But solving Kevin's case, it gives him this renewed sense of purpose, maybe even a final one, you feel.
And Ballard.
She comes out of it stronger, I think. She really develops her own style of leadership. It's rooted in that tenacity, yes, but also in evidence and real compassion. She proves that integrity can eventually earn respect, even if it's reluctant.
And what about Haller's case? Does Bosch's work on the cold case tie back into that?
It absolutely does. What Bosch learns digging into Kevin's past understanding that pattern of manipulation and cover-up.
It helps him see the flaws in the prosecution's case against Haller's client.
Exactly. Evidence gets re-examined, hidden motives come to light, and it leads to the acquittal of the man Haller was defending, the guy who really was wrongly accused.
So Bosch, despite his internal conflict about helping the defense,
He knows he did the right thing because he pursued the truth wherever it led, in both cases. It's classic Connelly blurring those lines between cop and investigator, prosecution and defense, all in the name of actual justice.
so the novel doesn't tie everything up in a neat bow then?
No, not at all. It closes with this quieter, more powerful reflection, really, that justice is never perfect. Truth is rarely just black and white.
It's messy.
It's very messy. It's a reminder that even when you win a battle, like solving Kevin's case, the larger systemic fight for true justice,
Yeah.
that's ongoing. It's deeply personal for characters like Bosch and Ballard.
But for them, the work matters.
That's the core of it. Because, as Connelly puts it, even one solved case means a soul is at peace, a family can breathe again, and a wrong is made a little more right.
So wrapping up this deep dive then, we've really explored the resilience of these detectives, haven't we? The long, hard fight for justice against some pretty daunting odds.
Yeah, and the uncomfortable truths that crime stories like Nightshade can shine a light on, about our society, about our institutions.
Okay, so let's leave our listeners with something to think about.
All right. Given how deeply entrenched that conspiracy of silence was in this story, how powerful the institutional protection mechanisms were, what do you think it might really take? Beyond just the incredible efforts of a few dedicated people like Bosch and Ballard, what would it take to genuinely ensure that everybody counts in our own complex world?
That's a heavy question, something to definitely mull over.